Okay. Okay, so for today, this is what we are going to be covering. We are going to cover the basics of understanding what user-centered design is. We are going to look at the various stages in user-centered design. We're also going to explore the different research methods, such as interviews, card sorting, A and B, and all of that. So now, what is user-centered design? I know that we are not new to this particular concept, because from the tasks we gave during for you to do to move over to intermediate level, we had to follow the user-centered approach, and most of us actually did well. So now, what is the user-centered design approach? It is just a way of understanding your users. So I tell people something that when it comes to UI UX design, so I'll be using the word product design so that I'm just going to call it product design, the compound word, so that I'm not going to be defining individually. Now, when it comes to products, when it comes to building products, we have approaches that we follow. That's the user-centered approach. So one thing you need to note is, for every design you're doing or for every product you're building in the market, you're building it for the users. So you need to actually understand their needs. You need to understand their behaviors. You need to understand their preference and all of those things. If you don't understand it, there's no way you're going to build products that users would actually like, products that users would want when they have problems. Now, let's say, for instance, I've been doing this for a while, and I've come to understand that users are actually you can actually get users to use your platform if you are solving their direct problem. Now, if you don't actually focus on their needs, their behavior, and their preference, you might end up not solving their problems. I've seen people come out to say, okay, I want to build this platform, I want to do this, I want to do that, without putting the users into consideration. They just go on to build, and then at the end of the day, they don't have users, and they are feeling like there's no market for it. I know that our location is actually, there's some things that would not work in Nigeria, and there's some things that will work abroad. Now, one of the goals of studying this, one of the goals of becoming a product designer or a UI UX designer, is that you want to be able to stay anywhere you are and you're able to work. So you need to learn the processes, the approach. If you're going to look for a job in today's world, they won't ask you, okay, so your portfolio is what will even give you that interview slots for you to get interview slots. But when it comes to you getting the job, you need to talk about your process. You need to ensure that you explain your process to people. So that process is what we call the user-centered design. Now, this process it includes research, ideation, prototyping, testing, and iteration. Now, all of these things, it's because it's a process. You don't need to skip it. You need to follow it one after the other. So the first we'll now look at 5 major principles of the user-centered design. Now, what are these principles? First, you need to understand your users and what they actually want. I like using this example. I like using this as an example. Now, this is where we need to unmute and talk. So imagine I am so let's imagine, let me use somebody on the call. So any person I call your name, just know that you're the one I'm using for the example. So let me say Caramel. What do you like doing? Sorry, you can unmute and just tell me, what do you like doing? Hello, Caramel. Are you there? Oh, okay. It seems that she's not there. She left her phone. So I'm just going to call another person. Ayodeji. Ayodeji. Are you there?
I'm there actually. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So tell me one thing you like.
I like playing football, for example.
You like playing football. Okay. So one challenges you faced. So let me just put it like this. Any challenge you faced doing what you
Okay,
like doing?
maybe stamina issues. Sometimes I may not be able to play full game sometimes due to stamina issues, and sometimes maybe unavailability of boots, that's soccer boots. Maybe I'm supposed to get the soccer boots, but due to one reason or the other, I can't. Maybe financially, or maybe the person I intended to borrow from I couldn't get it from that person. Yeah,
Oh,
something like that.
okay. Yeah, so let's use getting boots for football as your major challenge now. Now, you see why it's actually very important to actually understand your user very well, because if you don't understand your user and you start assuming that okay, so because he said football, playing football is what he likes doing, and then all of a sudden you're going to build a platform where he can watch football. Okay, he said football, and because of that you're going to do a platform where you can watch football. Can you see that? Yeah, this is major. This is what he likes doing. But then when you are trying to now bring in something for him, you're going against what is actually the problem. Now, after talking to him, I've come to understand that his major problem is getting boots. So I'm picking this one because it's going to be very easy to get something out of it, getting boots. Now the other problem is that stamina and all of that. Now, how do you solve the stamina part? All you need to do is, but if you don't talk to him as a user, you're not going to understand that this is actually a pain point for him. So you need to get clear understanding. Now that I have clear understanding of what he wants, I might now try to provide solutions to what he wants. Now the next thing is you need to incorporate users' feedback to define their requirements. Now, from the feedback I got from him, that his major problem in playing football is that he doesn't have stamina. He's not going to stay, he won't be able to stay longer when playing ball because of stamina. And the second one is him getting boots, or yeah, boots for playing that football. Now I can decide to say, okay, this is what I want to do. I'm going to build an app where he can build his stamina by giving him series of exercises every day for him to be able to build his stamina when it comes to playing football. Now, the second option I can give to him is also to build a platform where he can book for his boots, either by borrowing it or by buying new one, or by hiring it, any of these. Now you know that there's something we call knowing the problem behind the problem. Now we already know the problem. Now the next thing is, from what he said, you could hear that he said due to some challenges, which include finance. Now, if you don't talk to them to really understand, to have a clear understanding of what he wants, you might end up not building something that he will like. Now, the next one is you need to have early and active involvement of your users. You need to carry them along. You need to put them in the process. So that's why before, you can just build something, you can just design and send it to the development team, and they are coming up with the solution, they are coming up with the app or all of that. But these days, even before you take it to the development team, you need to conduct what we call usability testing. You need to ensure that you've tested what you're sending to them in the market. You've tested it to your real users, you've gotten feedback from them, and then you know that, okay, these are the corrections that they will want us to make on the platform before we send it out again. Now, one thing also is that this process is iterative, so it's not something that is just ending now. That's why people used to confuse. There's something they call, then there used to be one form of argument that what is the difference between product design and UI UX. So people would tell you UI UX, you do all of these things, but now the skill has evolved. You don't need to just design and don't be there. Now, the overall goal of everything you're doing is, there's a joy that you designed an application, or you designed a website, and when you're checking the analytical part of it, you're seeing that thousands of people are using the app, they are giving you good feedbacks and all of that. We are all in that situation one way or the other. If you go to Google Play Store to download something, or Apple Store to download something, and you just type the name of the thing and you see different recommendations, the first thing you would do is to look at the reviews before you would go ahead to either download it or not. And also when you're getting something from Jumia or all of these marketplaces, once you click on it, one thing we all do is, or not we all, one thing most of us we do is we'll go to where we have the review section and start reading the people that have reviewed this thing we are trying to buy and all of that. Now you notice that users will not even give you those kind, do not give you reviews if you've not been carrying them from the onset to ensure that you do something good. Now, the next principle is that you need to integrate user-centered design with other development activities. So while you're trying to do your research, you're trying to ideate, you're trying to do all of those things, you need to also consider other development activities. Now, I've also come to realize that if you're working in a team and you're building real projects, now there's a difference between building real projects and building your own dummy project for portfolio. When you're building real projects, sometimes there are things that you won't even capture in your user flow information architecture. But then as you go further, you get to start realizing that these things are missing, and you get to put them together and ensure that you produce something that is worth it. Now, the last one is the iterative design process. Design is not something that once you do and hand off to developers, you're ending it there. No, sometimes developers would not be even able to implement it and you still have to come back. But the overall goal of all of this is that you need to ensure that you're building products that users will like. Now, we also have elements of user-centered design. Now, what are the elements? We have what we call the visibility. Your users should be able to see from the beginning what they can do with the product, what it's all about, and how they can use it. So that's why when you're designing, if you're being taught, if you know what we call the heuristic principles, there's a particular principle that will tell you that you should always include what we call help and documentation. Now, the documentation part of it is like telling your users how to use your product without them getting confused. Now, another way you can make your product become visible and what it is, when you actually look at use this particular principle that people visit different websites every day. Today, I can count the number of websites I've visited, maybe through another link, from embedded links to another. We all visit websites differently. And one thing that has been able to allow us quickly know how to use this website is because they all look similar. So one thing that's going to help you do this is you need to build your products like other products. The law states that people visit different products every now and then. So they want your own products, they want your platform, they want your website to behave the way that these other products are behaving. Now we have accessibility, sorry. Users should be able to find information easily and quickly. So that's why your information architecture is also very important. From information architecture, I tell people that before you actually build any product. Now, there are certain things you need to consider. When we get to the research part, we get to talk about all of those things. There are certain things you need to actually consider before you start on any project. One very important thing that most of us we don't do is what we would call competitive analysis. You see that is a very important research that you're supposed to conduct as a product designer or as a UI UX designer. You need to conduct that because it's going to help you know how informations are arranged on other platforms, so that it will be very easy to integrate that into your own platform. I don't know if we've all heard of a book that you need to steal like an artist in product design or in UI UX design. One thing is there, which is you would get to look at different products. You get to build your product almost the same as other products. The difference is you're going to make it better and you're going to make it more user friendly. Aside that, most times where people arrange things, that's where you're also supposed to arrange things. Things like call to action buttons, your search buttons should not be something that people cannot easily identify. So it's just like you're building for the first time, or you're trying to build a product, and then you're using a what should I use? You're using a triangle as a search button or as a button. First off, your users will actually be very confused. They won't know what that is, if that is something for display or it's for decorations and all of that. So these things should it should be almost the same. It should be the same with what is the standard, but then you should ensure that your users are able to easily find these things and locate it. Now we have the legibility, your text, anything you're using in your design, it should be as simple. It should be easy to read. People should be able to understand what you're trying to say here and not try to assume what's the meaning of this. I've seen people that can speak good English, that can speak big English, and when it comes to them trying to design something, you get to see that English element in their design. Whereas remember that you're not building for yourself. One thing you need to always remember is I am not building for myself. I am building for users. So something that is fine in my eyes might not be what the users want. So at every point, try to do things that your users would always come back to your product. Then the language. So it's almost for language, you need to use things, phrase that they understand. You need to use words that they understand very well so that it would be very easy for them to know what they are doing. Now we are going to talk about research, the process, the 5 design thinking process, which research is part of it. Now, what is research? Research is just the process of you trying to gather information about your target users. You're trying to know their pain points, you're trying to know the things that they want and how you can help them make the product worth it. Now we have different types of research, so I'm going to just be explaining the ones you know. The one that is very popular is the user research, where you get to conduct interviews, you get to do surveys, you get to do user persona and all of that. These ones are the very common type of research where once they say conduct research, the first thing you see is, hey dear, I'm trying to conduct a research for my company. It's not going to take you more than 5 minutes. Kindly help me to fill this survey. In as much as, yeah, this is a method that works, I still feel like there are different ways that we need to conduct research that would not just be this traditional method. We have the qualitative and the quantitative type of research, and this is where I'm also going to ask you. Let's discuss how many types of research have you used previously to actually build something? So anybody can answer first. What type of research have you used that is not survey to conduct an interview or to do the user research if you're building a product? We are all intermediate, so we've used one form of research or the other. Hello, Zoom user.
Hello, good
Yeah,
evening,
hello,
everybody.
Michael. Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, so for me, I've used interviews to conduct a research before, and personas also, aside survey and questionnaires.
Okay, so when you've used interview before, did you encounter any challenge?
Well, the only challenge I could say I encountered, because the interview I conducted was an online interview on a Google Meet, would be the person who was supposed to interview coming late. I think that's the only one I would say it was like a challenge I encountered. I had to wait for the person even after we've agreed on a time and we've set everything up. I had to wait for the interviewee to show up
Okay,
far
so
ahead of the.
you used just one person. How many person were you able to interview at that point?
I was during the course of that period, I was able to interview about 3 persons.
3%. Now
Yes.
this is my question. Do you think interviewing 3% will actually give you what an insight or an overview of what your ideal users want?
So my answer to the question would be, if those 3 persons were a part of a targeted user that I want to use for the product I'm building, probably it could give an insight, probably not too deep, into what I'm trying to build for the product. However, generally, I wouldn't think 3 persons would be enough. I probably think 5 to 7 would be enough. Would be a good number of persons to use for an interview.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Susu, your mic is unmuted. You want to say something?
Oh, I think okay, you asked about the research method I use, like
Yeah.
the qualitative research, and that one that one has to do with establishing answers, the whys and how, phenomenal, like it's basically has to do with qualitative analysis. Basically has to do with you gathering information, like not numerical, like just gathering data about a particular product you are about to design. Yes. So I recently used quantitative analysis for one of my design.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Is there any other person? Sunday.
Good day.
Yeah. Good evening.
I do use this interview before, but I discovered that using interviews are not that like I don't get the what I need. So most times if I want to build an app, what I do is I'm this very friendly type, very social type. So I may just be in a midst of people now we are discussing and I'll be like, oh pay the fuck up, or maybe I want to build a fintech, I'll just say, oh pay the fuck up. Oh. This I will say, no be small since yesterday. So gradually now I'll be the one throwing the question indirectly. They won't know. So I'll just be throwing open questions and they'll be replying like, I like Kuda pass. Oh yeah, why you like Kuda? So we are actually discussing, but I'm gathering my information from my app from the discussion. So I think that's the method I just discovered and it's working for me though.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. So there's one thing I want to say here, which is there's no best way of conducting research. Now the goal is for you to be able to get the insights or the data you want to get from it. So say for quantitative research, if you're using survey is not actually bad, but I feel like most times you don't get what you want from survey because of how your questions are crafted. Now, so just imagine you're trying to build something and the next thing you're asking people is yes or no, yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. It's going to actually make them not express themselves. So if you're using the survey method, I tell people that it's better you use what we call the open-ended kind of approach where you get to give them the opportunity to express themselves on paper. Now, the disadvantage of that is most people would be rushing to just fill it and they don't even give you the best way to, they don't even give you the response that you want. Now for interview, in as much as I like interview, but then it's draining. How many persons are you going to interview per time? How many percent? So I've come to a conclusion that if you want to get your research right, you must not even follow. Most times you don't need to do the conventional pattern of sending out survey during interview one way or the other. So I got something from what the last person said. He said he does his research in a very unconventional way, sorry, that he would just stay in his environment and then he's asking people about the particular thing you want to do. So there's something I also tell people, that as a UI UX person or as a product designer, you are actually an evangelist. So anywhere you're going, you should be spreading that word. Say if you're in a vehicle. So sometimes the best place to even get some of this response, some of this data might be in vehicles. If you are someone that don't like talking, just know that you would have to learn in the process. Now, that way you can do that. I've thought about this thing. Why not just look for a way to, I'm trying to build something on fintech, and I'm trying to build something on fintech. If you go on that Twitter, if you go on Twitter and you go on that tweets, you will see people complaining of these different banks. Sterling Bank is doing this, Kuda Bank is doing this. Okay, they don't complain of Kuda like that. You rarely see people complain of Kuda, but you'd see UBA, all of those other conventional banks, you would see it there. So why not just go the other way, where you just get to make a forum, a discussion forum of people that are facing the same problem, call them together to come and rant about what is their problem, and from there you also get to ask them what is the solution they are trying to prefer. So you know that you're building something for users. So there's one question I like asking in any survey that I'm sending out, which is, if you're to solve this problem yourself, how would you solve it? Now, that's one very good way of trying to know how you want to solve their problem using their own, using what they feel like is the best way they can solve their problem. You know that there's something we also know in this world: you can't satisfy human beings, and some of these things are not actually designed. Sometimes it might be from the business itself, the business model and all of that. Sometimes it might be from the dev team, but then nobody would want to consider all of those things. That's why as a designer, you need to look at you need to look at every aspect, so that, and you need to also follow your development process. You need to follow it in as much as you're not. So something happened in my office recently where I finished designing, and my PM called me and said he saw the designs and he did not like as it was implemented. That he was arguing with the developer that it was this, that. And then at the end of the day, I just realized that, imagine this person was not even up on the design. That's how the developer would have finished doing it without even me knowing that the designs had issues. Now, what happened is, when I went to check the design with the link they gave to me, I noticed that everything was big. The header was big, the spacing too big, and all of those things. And it's because that was what he could do at that point. But you know, one good thing about that, because I had to follow it up, we had to now ensure that we work on it. So this process, when you see as a designer, you don't need to just do something and drop it halfway. You need to follow it till the end, because people these days now, you won't see them say, this app is, even when they say this app is not working, the first thing they'll notice is this user experience is bad, the design is bad, all of these things are bad. And then you get to know that they are directly pointing to you, not to the whole team. They are all pointing at you, they are pointing to you for doing all of those things. So you need to you need to look at several things before you move to designing. I don't believe in, once there's a project, you're going to Figma. Figma is like the last place you should go. Now, let's move further to talk about the research that you can see. This is for user research, where you have interview, you have surveys, you have observations and all of that. We have what we call the market research. Now, market research is just you focusing on the market landscape. This is you trying to know, okay, the competitors. You're trying to also know the trends, the potential customers, all of these people that are there. Now, some of you will be asking, why do I need to do market research? That's not my role. But then it's going to help you to identify opportunities, to help you also make informed decision. You need to do market research. Of you're trying to build a fintech app and you don't know the key players in the industry. You're trying to build a marketplace and you don't know the key players in the industry. It's going to make you not design as you ought to. Now, the goal of every design process is that you need to do what is better than what has been existing. So you need to make sure that you try to do all of these things so that you don't see loopholes at the end of the day. Now, once you're done with your market research, there's also competitive research. This is when now you now start analyzing the competitors in full. So this is also going to help you. I tell people, if you're struggling with doing your information architecture as a designer, it's because you did not do competitive analysis. Now, when we say do competitive analysis, it's not the one that would go on Figma, draw a box, a rectangular box. We put the logos of all of these people, and at the end, at the right hand side, we now start including checks. You will now see people using price as competitive analysis. You see price and all of that. I'm not saying they are not good. They are actually good, but the main aim of doing all of these things is, if you want to know the content that you need to have in your app, you need to do competitive analysis very well. So it's just like picking up a particular app. If I want to build any platform today, like I want to build a fintech platform, if I am talking about user experience, I'll use Kuda as my case study to actually get what is there, to get how they arrange their stuff and why some of these things, why they place this here and why they did not place this here. Now, the next app I'm going to use is Eyowo. Even if they've actually retrieved their license. Now, the reason is because that app has one of the best UIs I've seen. like their UI is so fine. So this kind, if you want to do things like this, if you want to build any products, you need to look at different apps, after conduct that thing we call competitive analysis, not the one that you just check price, check this, and say what is not working. Look at how they are able to arrange their content, look at their strengths, look at their weakness, look at their opportunities, and look at what you would now use to differentiate them. So you see that the process, the UI UX process, is not something you do and in 2 weeks you're coming up with a product. I know someone that builds a product for as long as 4 months. And you see that 4 months, the design might just be 1 month and 2 weeks, or just 1 month, and the remaining 3 months is for him gathering insight. Because when you do all of those things, if you follow the real process, you would get to build something. When you get to the designs, you've gotten enough inspiration. You know where you're following, where you're going, where you're not supposed to go, and all of those things. Because I've been asking myself, why is it that if I call you today and I say, Anita, I need a website, you tell me your price, or I need an app and you tell me your price, and in the next 3 weeks, you're coming up with something. Have you thought to yourself, why is it that easy? That's why people think that UI UX is easy. When you tell someone that I've been opportune to meet several people that wants to jump into tech, and when you send them links for them to go and read about tech and what's the field that they want to go in, especially for those people that don't even know anything about tech. Once you send them list and they see UI UX, then the next thing they are coming and they're telling you, I want to learn UI UX. And when I ask, the first question I ask is, why do you want to learn UI UX? And they will tell you, because it's simple, it's the simplest. And the reason why they tell you it's simple is because they think that it's just about you going to Figma, drawing shapes, drawing these, and you're coming up with onboarding screens in less than 2 hours. Less than 2 hours, you've given them onboarding screens everywhere with good colors, with all of these things. So once they see that, they say, this is very easy, this is good. And the next thing is, once you tell them to design something, you tell them to design a pop-up button, they go to Google or Dribble or one of those places and they type pop-up button, see the different pop-up buttons, and they come and they do it. So they feel like that's design. Whereas the main work is when you're trying to build something that users love. So for you to build something that users love, you need to do what we call extensive research. That part is something that you don't need to leave. Now, there's also another one, which is called the contextual inquiry. This is like you trying to observe users in their environment. You're trying to observe them in their environment. You're trying to see how they interact with services or products in real life. You know that sometimes your users, you won't get to see them. For fintech, mostly, you won't get to see them. So another way of conducting good research is when you go to their environment and watch them and observe them do all of these things. You observe them log in, you observe them sign up, you observe them and see their reaction. And from reaction, when you're close to somebody and you're watching that person, the person would not. There's some things that people cannot fake, cannot pretend. But if you give them a survey and tell them, how is this? As far as it's not, if it's for fintech, as far as they can send their money and receive their money, any other thing that is no good, they wouldn't want to tell you about it. They'll just tell you, it's doing the work that I'm supposed to do, so there's no need. So sometimes you need to carry all of that. That some of you asking, what time do I have? This is our country, Nigeria, where a company will employ you and they want you to perform magic in the next 3 months. Now, you need to learn it, because once you learn it, the goal of everything is to get a better job, is to get an international gig. When you talk about Facebook and Google, all of those places, they have departments, they have teams structured for this. You have the research team. All they do is conduct research. They conduct all the kind of research you can think of. Another form of research is usability testing, where you get to give people your products and observe and gather feedback from how they are using the products. You can conduct that online. You can also conduct that in person. So most times, truthfully, what we do is we conduct usability testing in-house amongst ourselves. within the team. We get to check, we get to share the Figma link, prototype link to people on the team and ask them to check it and do all of those things. And they give you their feedback and we are done with it. Then we also have another method, which is the focus group. The focus group is what sorry, the last person that spoke, can you remind me your name again? Okay, I think you would answer again. So the focus group is where you have small groups of users, you have few persons, and you're trying to engage them in discussions that you actually initiated just to gather concepts. Something like just the example you gave. You want to build a fintech app, you just go and just look for your competitors and say this is what is happening here, and people tell you stuffs about it. You want to design, you want to build something for election, you just need to call one person's name. I'm not going to call it, just call one person's name and say this person as a leader is not doing well, and you will hear people's reaction. Just the reaction, you're doing your research and all of that. Then the personal development, where we get to develop user persona, create fictional representation of your users. Now that you can use the problem you're facing to create that, or you can use your insight from research to create it. The user persona. User persona, I can decide to say, okay, my name is Boomer, and one of the things and one of the challenges I face is I work 9 to 5. I work 9 to 6. I work 9 to 6. Now from 6, I'm taking KodeCamp to 8. From 8, I'm having another meeting. By 9, I'm having another meeting. At the end of the day, my day is ending by 12 o'clock. And this is like my normal routine. Now, by that 12 o'clock, you now have 1 or 2 things to stay online and all of that. Or you know, it's 2 a.m. in the morning, and you're sleeping for a few hours. The next morning, you're waking up again. That's the normal routine. And I have a particular issue, and I've confided in somebody that the issue I have is getting food or getting my house chores done, and the person is trying to prefer solution to what I'm already facing. Now, the things you will not see is you just easily create a persona and put it Boma Aginobu, work type 9 to 5, age range this to this, her pinpoint. She doesn't get to eat well because of her tight schedule. What are goals to be able to get food when she's supposed to get food. This that. I'm putting together a persona that I can just use to represent the target audience. Now, if you say who are the target audience, you just get to classify it. Okay, Gen Zs, people that have 9 to 5 jobs. Sunday, people that have 9 to 5 jobs and all of that. Yeah, you want to ask a question? Because I can see you going on my screen. Okay, so that's the personal development. We also have what is Boma's frustration. You now start listing that the frustration is she want to eat good food, but the only thing she can see is biscuits and all of those things. Do this. Maybe she has used Jumia food before, which I have. I've used Jumia food before. I ordered for something on a Sunday and the thing did not get to meet it today. And I don't know why nobody called me. Another instance happened in the office when I was still going to the office. It happened where we needed food for a client, not even for staff members, for a client. And it was raining. We ordered for Jumia food, and they told us it would be here in this. We stayed the whole day. The food did not come. The client finished what he's doing, left the office, and that was it. Maybe that's my frustration using all of those other apps. And because your company contacted you that okay, let's work on this thing, and the first persona you're looking at is Boomer, and you're using that to represent different set of people that are facing the same issue. So we also have the A and B testing. This is comparing two products that you built together. So this is mostly done when you've gotten to the design phase, when you've gotten to the design and you're designing the prototype phase where you're doing different prototype A and B. You can decide to say, okay, for the food app that I want to build, let me use a rectangle to fill the screen and put my food stuff, my food image there, and put something there. That's the first pattern. I can just make it a rectangle. And then the second one, I say, okay, let me make it a square so that I can put 2 boxes. Instead of 1, I'll make it 2 boxes there and still display my food and all of that. So once I'm done with this, I can just give it to users and say, okay, which of these concepts do you like? So it's something that is not new, because even designers, graphic designers, they do it, where they get to design 2 variations of a particular thing, of a particular problem, because even graphic designers, they are solving a problem. They do 2 variations of the designs and they send to client, and then the client gets to pick one out of all of that. So these are the different ways we can actually conduct research. We can do all of those things, and it's going to help us at the end of the day. Now, the next phase of the user-centered design is the ideation phase. This is the phase where you get to this phase you get to gather insights. You get to actually generate ideas to address the needs of your users. You get to gather ideas. Now, I know that some of you will be looking at there's a phase that is actually missing. So what phase is that, guys? Intermediate. Yeah, the defined phase. Now, the defined phase is, so the empathizing phase is, that's the phase where you get to conduct your research and all of that. So that phase is when you get to gather insights on the exact problem you're trying to solve. So I just listed it as research phase, because what you do mostly in that phase is conducting research from your anything you're doing in that phase is mostly conducting research. Then we have the defining phase. Now, this phase is mostly focused on trying to know the real problem. You're trying to know the real problem that you've actually done from the research. Say, for instance, before the research, the first speaker's problem, our first speaker's problem was getting to play. He likes playing football. That is something he likes doing, and he still has challenges when it comes to playing football. Now, in the defining phase, that's when you now get to analyze what you've gotten so far from the research. Now, from the research, we've gotten so far that one of the things he's facing is getting stamina, and the second one is getting his boots. Now, since we've already done this, the next thing is for us to now define the problem itself. We now know the direction we are going. If we want to build an all-in-one app that would help him to build his stamina, and at the same time help him book for for his football boots, jerseys, and all of that. You can decide that, okay, this is the phase, this is what I'm doing. So in this phase, the key things you do is mostly to reframe the problem based on the insights you've gotten. You're now trying to rephrase the problem. You're saying, okay, this was the initial problem we went out with, which is helping football players to do what they need to do, and that was the initial problem. So now you're trying to now redefine the problem to say, okay, this is no longer the problem, this is what is the actual problem, because he doesn't have because he's trying to minimize funds, or because he's trying to save more funds, he cannot buy a new boot upfront. He would want a platform where he can just rent boots for every time he wants to play football, rent it down. Now, this is like trying to redefine the problem to know exactly what is the issue, and then you need to, or you by deeply understanding the problem that the users have faced in the in your initial problem, in your initial problem you're trying to solve, you get to refine all of these things. Then you create a problem statement. The problem statement is now what focuses on the problem, now the direction you are now going. The problem statement, you now get to craft the problem statement from all you've done so far and say, okay, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing. This is primarily what you do in this particular defining stage. and then you now get to prioritize and focus on a particular problem. Because one thing I've come to realize is problems are actually very vast. If you want to start solving any problem, you notice that it's very vast. Now, take for instance, you want to solve this my issue of getting food, and then you get to realize that there are different limitations. There are different limitations to me getting this food. Maybe one might be finance. I won't be able to pay for the services of swift delivery or all of that. I won't be able to pay this. I won't be able to do this. Now you've gotten to know the different challenges. Okay, I won't be able to leave my desk for even 10 minutes to go outside to get the food, or all of these things. And you want to now solve this problem for me. You know that there are different ways you can use to solve it. First is you might decide to say, okay, let me I'm not going to I'm not going to build a platform where people can come and just order food. Maybe I'm going to build something that people can come and order bulk food. So it's not just going to be small. So instead of me to always be calling people to come and meet me, instead of me to always call delivery guys to deliver food, I can decide to say, okay, I'm taking just I'm just taking a pot of soup that will last me for 1 week. I'm paying it at once and all of that. Now, this is an aspect to which you can solve it. You can say, okay, I'm just going to make a solution for bulk order. One. The second one can be, okay, even after doing the bulk order, I don't have money to pay. I can now decide to do it now and pay later, or any of those other things. You can just decide to do all of those things and move on. Or at the end of the day, you can decide to, okay, build a platform where people can just order chefs online. They can order chefs and say, okay, this is what these chefs are going to do. You can just click on the platform, order chefs, and do all of those things. And you're still solving my problem, right? So with the defining phase, you will now get to streamline and focus on a particular problem you're trying to solve. Is it the problem of finance, or the problem of me not wanting to order every day and all of that? So you see that it's actually very complex and so on. So now the next phase is the ideation phase, that is focused on you getting creative ideas. You're getting creative ideas. You're trying to brainstorm with people. Now that you know the exact problem, you have your problem statement. You're not trying to address the user's need by doing the following. At this point now, you're sketching things. You're sketching the ideas that you have. You're sketching all of these things. You're trying to build a mind map, which is a visual representation of information or concepts or ideas that you already have in a format that is interconnected. So you're saying, okay, this is what I want to do. You're brainstorming. You're saying, okay, this is connected to this. This is connected to this, and you're arranging all of that together to ensure that you finally produce something. Then we have the wireframes. Now for mind map, mostly it's mostly something that you get to say, okay, this is what I'm doing. Let's say I want to solve this I now put that idea as what I want to solve, and then I have branches. I'll say, okay, this is the central idea, this is the central idea, and we now start giving ideas that are related to it, maybe images, concepts. You're putting it together and using lines to connect them to finally now say, okay, at the end of the day, this is what I'm going to do. We have the wireframe that we are used to. We have the wireframes that we are used to, where you get to do your low fidelity, your mid fidelity, or your high fidelity wireframes that you get to sketch. If you're using the low fidelity, you get to use your paper and all of that to sketch anything you want to sketch. And at the end of the day, you come up with a particular concept. Now, then you also get to gather your mood boards. What's a mood board? A mood board is like a visual tool that you use to gather everything that you feel like you're going to be using for the design. Now, you see that the process of doing all of these things is even getting longer and longer and longer, because if you get all of these things, there's no way that your design will not meet the requirement at the end of the day. Because say I see something that I like, in the graphic design, and I pick it and I say, okay, I like this color. So most people actually confuse mood board for going to dribble, copying this thing and coming to paste it there and say this is it. Sometimes you can get mood boards from anything. You can be walking on the road and you see the way someone's flower is positioned, and you just take a picture of that and say, okay, I'm trying to build something related to agriculture, and I like the way this flower is. I like the color on this flower, and you take a picture of it, and that can be your mood board. That is even better mood boards. Or you see a design that you like the fonts. All you need to do is take a screenshot of it. Use one of these font extractors to know the exact fonts that is used in it, and you use it. Or it can be textures, it can be patterns, it can be layouts, it can be layout. Say you saw a design that is, you're trying to build something for agriculture, and you saw a design that is in fintech, that you like the arrangement of this design. You can also just pick it, take it, and bring it there. It's not to go to table and type food delivery app, because you're doing food delivery app. Type food delivery app, carry like 1 or 2 screens, come there, copy it, and then you say you created a mood board. That's not a mood board. The mood board is anything that will help you, a collective element that will help you represent what you have in your head, what you have in your sketch, in your idea, the idea that you have. Then we have the design concepts, the things you need to do. Then we have what we call the storyboard. So does anyone have any idea of what a storyboard is? Hello, anybody? Guys, we are all
Hello.
intermediate people. Yeah,
Okay.
hello.
You said there are no wrong answers. I don't know. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
So, from my own concept, storyboard is like probably you gathering a whole story of your design, how it's going to go, or something like that.
Oh yeah, you're actually correct. So for
Hello.
storyboard, it's more like, yeah, okay, hello, you can answer.
Okay, for my own understanding of what storyboard is like you of course gathering information about what you want your design to look like. Like for example, now like you talk about your daily activities, what you do before you end your day. Like for example, if I'm trying to create a storyboard about you now, about maybe trying to design an app for you for the food app, I guess food delivery app, I could just okay, when you wake up in the morning, this is what you do. Okay, she went to work. I could just like do sketches of, maybe draw a sketch and just post an avatar. Okay, this is when you woke up from sleep. Okay, you went to work. Okay, from work you had a meeting. Like just thinking about everything about the design, how the design is going to look like. Like he's going to just give a user an insight of what he or she would be expecting about the design. Yeah.
Yeah. So a storyboard is just it consists of different things, from illustrations to sketches to image, that is arranged in a way that would outline the projection of a story. So just like you said, if I want to create a storyboard of my lifestyle, I'll start from when I wake up, what I do when I wake up. Maybe I just rush to go and bathe. Maybe because I sleep very late, say 2 o'clock, sometimes 3. So I just wake up. I wake up few minutes to resumption time. I just wake up then, and it's just like you creating a story, because there's something about story. Now, as a designer, you need to be a very good storyteller. Yeah, you need to be a very good storyteller, because most of these things, forget that we are saying you need to understand your users very well and all of that. It takes a very good storyteller to be able to quickly understand what this user is going through and create a story out of it to make it make more sense. So have you noticed that if you've attended pitch before, pitching sections and all of that, what used to catch in investors their mind is when you start your pitch with a story. So they want to be able to know what actually carried you from where you are to what carried you, what intrigued you, what actually made you focus on this particular problem. It can be a personal experience or all of that. So you see all of these things. If you're trying to pitch this food delivery app to somebody and you're saying, okay, let's think about Boma, a Gen Z that walks around the clock and she doesn't eat. This one day, Boma had the ulcer and had to rush her to the hospital, and they confirmed that it's because she doesn't eat food, and then we need to solve this for Boma. You would see that you're catching people's attention. So that's what like storyboard is trying to create stories from sequence of events, from things that have happened previously to now make it look make it solve the problem the way you want to solve it. So we have the crazy eight. Now, what is this crazy eight? It's just like you trying to brainstorm ideas within a short period of time. You just get to gather plenty ideas between a short period of time. We can actually do that here from one problem, and you say, okay, let's all gather ideas. This one is saying, this one is saying, this one is saying. Within a short period of time, we've come up with sorry, let me look. Says God forbid. So I won't have WhatsApp. This is just an illustration, and you've come up with ideas in a short while. Now, one of it, how does it work? The crazy eight. You need to there's supposed to be a time limit, which is 8 minutes. That's why it's called crazy eight. The goal is to generate as much ideas as possible. If I want to do that, I'll just go to FigJam and I'll set my timer and I'll tell people, everybody, okay, what are you doing? Now, another thing that will make your crazy eight work very well is individual thinking. Everybody is participating. So it's not the one that you have 10 people on the team and in 8 minutes, just 2 persons are bringing out ideas. 2 persons will tell you, okay, this is my idea, because they put it there and you see people go and say, I follow, I vote for this, I vote for this. In crazy eight, everybody is supposed to say their own opinion. Everybody is supposed to jot ideas, because I've come to realize that in ideation phase, there's nothing like a bad idea. There's nothing like a bad idea, because sometimes I tell people that ideation, when you're doing this ideation, you need to carry everybody along, including the staffs that you feel like don't have ideas. So you need to do something. The marketing team, the sales team, the team, the HR team, you can get ideas from all of those people, including the cleaners, the gatemen, and all of that. If you're close to all these people, now the question will be voila for people that are doing remote work, course. You don't get to meet all of these people every day. So how do you do with them? People on your contacts, nobody's idea is a waste. I was trying to build something one time, and I spoke with somebody. Like, I spoke with somebody and I was like, this is the pattern. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. That conversation, this person is not part of my team. This person is not part of the team. But you see, that conversation actually helped me, because the person gave me a direction that I've never thought of to go, a route that I've never thought of. And that's made the design more easier and simple. So everybody must be on the same line. Now, in crazy is you're talking about quantity over quality. First, you need to get as much ideas that you can think of, quantity over quality. After that, that's when you now start thinking of quality. No judgments. I've seen people that laugh during the ideation section, because you're trying to build let's say we're trying to build the football something to help this person, and then someone is coming in to say, okay, let's give him a go for stamina. Like, can you imagine? Someone is bringing an idea, tech-related idea, and somebody is infusing agbo to it. That if you give him agbo, you'll be strong. But then, if you look at it very well, that idea is off point, but it's what it's. You can just decide it's okay. It might not be agbo. It can be energy drinks and all of that to give him more stamina. But you see that if you shut that person up, you will not get to understand the approach or where this person is coming from. Then you need to you don't need to spend much time on a particular idea. Move as fast as possible. Then you need to share people's idea, and you can discuss to come with a particular and come up to make a conclusion about what you want to do. So we also think of empathy map. Empathy map is trying to Hello, can anybody hear me?
Yes, we
Yes, we
can.
can hear you.
Hello. So
Yes,
I've
we
been
can.
talking for a while. Where did you
Yes, we can hear you.
oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
All right, so empathy mapping is just like you trying to get understanding of your target users. You're trying to know what they think, what they feel, what they see, what they say, what they do, what they gain, and all of that. Sometimes we just use few. Now for empathy map, just looking at this image, you can just see that what you need to know under what they think and feel. You're thinking of, you're looking at their worries, their emotions, their aspirations, their thoughts, their concerns, and all of that. You're looking at all of these things. And then when you go to what they see, you're looking at their reaction, you're looking at their environment, you're looking at their change. When you go to pain they feel, their pain points, their fears, their weakness, and all of that. Now you can now move to what they say. You're looking at their quotes, their actions, behavior, keywords, and all of these. Then for you, what they hear, you can talk about comments, opinions by others, and all of that. Gain the advantage, experience, recognition, and relief. All of these things are very important. So I from the start of this class, someone said the goal of attending KodeCamp is to get a job. Now, if you want to get a job, you need to have a robust portfolio. So that's why I even advise people that you don't need to rush to get a portfolio. There's no need rushing. You need to take time and design and put as much thing. You see, one thing I've come to realize is, in as much as I've never used a portfolio to get a job, that's me, because most of the jobs I get are mostly recommendations from people that I've worked with. And so there's someone I've worked with before. At some point I turned down his job. I told him that I was not doing. I was calling a particular. I've worked with him before, where he paid me lesser amount. Okay, let me call the amount. So when I started UI UX initially, he paid me 20K to work on a design for him. And I worked on that design. Like, I worked on the design well. And then when we stopped that design, he came back after a while. He recommended me to somebody that I did a design for the person, and I collected times 5 of what that was in 2021 or so, 2021. Yeah, I collected times 5 of what he paid me, like times 5 of what he paid me to do the stuff for the person. And it did not even take me time to do it as his own. Then I had to now he now came back after a while to tell me that I need to do a job for him. So I was telling him that I was going to do it at 400,000, because I knew him. The reason why I'm calling the figures, because I'm trying to tell you how I'm trying to chip in something. Your lifestyle can actually give you more gigs than even what you have on paper. Portfolio is very important. I believe that if you what is worth doing is worth doing well. If you want to build a portfolio, build it well. But let's imagine when you don't even have a portfolio and you need a job. And then he said he could not afford that. He was telling me 300, and I told him I wasn't going to do it, because I did not want anything to make it look like, because I've done something for him before at a lesser amount, it feels like I still do it. I turned it down, and after like 2 months, he came back. I even told him I was going to recommend someone within my circle to do that job, and he said no, that he doesn't want me to recommend somebody, that he likes working with me. And I was like, why? He was like, I don't give him problem. I don't give him difficulty when it comes to working. If it's time to deliver what I need to deliver, I deliver. If I can't deliver, I apologize and tell him why I can't deliver. And we are going. If today now, I think that's something I've come to now. I've now grown beyond that. Then you will come today and you will change the pattern. It will change the pattern, because I wasn't the one that did the requirement. I will take it. After 2 months, he came again and he was like, let's do this, let's do the work. And I had to take it again. Now, why am I bringing it? Seemed still that person gave me a gig of 2 weeks that I collected in 2 weeks. The money I collected in 2 weeks, if I need to combine it, it's like what I earn as salary. So you see that people can actually give you gigs when can give you gigs without even you doing a very robust portfolio. My second job that I got, my remote job, I was in the house. I wanted to quit my full-time job, and I was in the house. Somebody just sent me a message that there's an opening in his firm, and this. They'll put in words for me. And I decided said submit your CV. I submitted my CV. It was a common Figma kind of interview. I was called one evening. I use your laptop, jump on Figma. I came on Figma and they say design in navbar, as simple as a collapsible navbar. That was what I was given as interview, and I did it, and that was it. When that was like my test. When we got to the main interview, the boss was like, there's no need interviewing me, because if I'm able to pass that test, that means I'll hear this. He just say, can you do this? Can you do this? And that was the end of it. So while you're working on your portfolio, please work on your character, work on how you deliver tasks, work on all of that. Somebody will not give you a job. Nobody will recommend you if you start from KodeCamp. From KodeCamp, that's when you need to learn that skill. Because if KodeCamp, if we are giving you an assignment and we are saying you need to submit it in 2 days, please try as much as you to submit it in 2 days, because the outside world is not smiling. If they give you a deadline, you can't give excuse that you're a student. You can't give excuse that you don't have light. You can't give excuse. No matter how I don't have lights in my I can't get, fuel is expensive, because I have jobs to do, I can't give excuse. I cannot give them any excuse that is because of this I did not deliver. So please use this KodeCamp opportunity to learn how to work in the real life, and at the end of the day, you go where. So I can see a question on the group saying, let me read the question again. Is crazy 8 the same as affinity mapping or affinity diagram? Now, why crazy 8 is like a rapid brainstorming exercise where you do in 8 minutes to generate ideas. Affinity map is what you use, is a method used to organize a large amount of information that was generated during brainstorming. Now, for crazy 8, I have 8 minutes. We have 8 minutes as a team, as UI UX intermediate. So our son in Boma intermediate, UI UX intermediate, we have that as intermediate people to come up with a solution or to come up with ideas in 8 minutes. Why we decide to say, okay, we are coming up with this 8 minutes. Everybody just list what you want. Now, affinity mapping is what you now use to organize these large ideas together. Like all of these ideas have come, you now use it to organize it. At the same time, you now start grouping the ones that are related, the ones that are almost the same, and all of that. So that's what affinity mapping is. While this, just note the difference. While crazy 8 is used to generate the idea, affinity mapping is used to organize the idea. So you can't just do ideas and leave it like that. You need to organize it to know where this is, what this is, where this is, and where this is not supposed to be. So I guess I've answered the question, Susu.
Yes, you have. Thank you.
Yeah. So now we get to the prototyping phase. That is very, very crucial. This is the phase most people see. This is the phase that they see and they say it's simple. That's why people try not to learn UI UX. They just move straight to design. I wouldn't say it's bad, because I started like that. I started with a boot camp where it was a 4 weeks boot camp, no, 6 weeks, sponsored by GIZ then, and it was graphic design that they were teaching us. Sorry, they were teaching us graphic designs, and at the end of 4 weeks, the 5th week they entered product design, and then they started with the person that taught us actually did very well, because she started from research. She emphasized on research and all of them, but then I was not a very serious student. I was doing plenty things at the same time. I just wanted to learn something. So I did not even put interest. Where I started putting interest was when they said, design something for there's this popular donut brand. I've forgotten. It's in Lagos, and I think it's not a Nigerian brand. I forgot to. It's very popular, a donut brand. What they do is different kinds of donuts. And they said they just grouped us and said we should do this. That was fun. Like it was fun. That was how I fell in love with UI UX. It was so sweet that it was coming in like, but then I didn't know what research is, what this is, and then I had to go and work with a company straight as I was doing my internship, though it was not paid. Now, another thing I'm also going to advise is, as much as we are looking for money, the process, you don't need to escape the process. You need real life experience. When people want to employ you, they won't ask how many dummy projects have you done. Sometimes the question will be, tell me one app you've built and how people were able to react to the app. Tell me one platform that you've built. My first UI UX job in Lagos for, it was also a referral in one of these design groups, and someone just posted it and I went to a DM, and that was actually linked to me up. That first job, the interview was the MD, because the MD is not in Nigeria, it's in UK. He was like, have you faced any challenge before while building a real app? I said yes. It was like, how did you identify a problem and come to solve it? And then I started moving him through the process and all of that. And that question was what got me my job. Sometimes you need real life experience. While you're doing this, look for where you can get real life experience that you can use to put in what you're doing. So prototyping phase is the phase that you get to create what you want to create, the app, the what's it called, the website. If you realize that from all I've been seeing, most times I do not include app, because it's even in the prototyping phase you get to know if you're building an app or you're building a website. Sometimes it can just be a service that you're building that doesn't really need an app. Say for instance, if you're the design thinking process, I've actually come to realize that it's not only for digital products, in as much as we are more focused, because it's UI UX, we are more focused on digital product. We get to feel like it's only in digital product we can use this. You can use this to solve a major problem. Now, these days, if you're going to business school, so I recently started attending a business school with Lagos Business School, and our first topic was the design thinking process. And then I'm wondering why. So it was not even new to me because I'm a product designer or because I'm a UI UX designer. And then I started asking the question that why are we doing this? Like, why are they teaching us this? And then we got to understand that the instructor got to explain that before any product would even make it to the market, you need to follow this process. Before even as a startup founder, most of us would become one. From before any product will get to the market, you need to follow this process. So that's why I actually emphasize on not skipping the process. That's when you will know if the idea or what you're trying to do is going to make it or it's not going to make it. So we have the low fidelity prototype where you get to use paper, you get to use many tools you want to use. You can use it to actually do what you want to do. Then we have the mid fidelity. Sorry, I say you can use it to do what you want to do. So for the low fidelity prototype, you get to sketch on paper. You might not even think of Figma at that point. You sketch everything that you have. Some people still do it. Now, most people would ask that, is it compulsory that you do all of the steps? If you're looking for a job, yes, it is. Do all of the steps, even if you're not looking for a job, because sometimes when you sketch and you bring to Figma, you get to see some things that you can add and all of that. And you add it. Then the mid fidelity is when you still you've moved to Figma at this point. You're using just text and boxes, no color and all of that. Then the high fidelity is the one with color and this. So someone asked before, I've gotten this question before, that which one do you give to your users to test? The one you give to your users, you can give them the mid fidelity. It's even very good that you give them mid fidelity, so they will get to talk about arrangement in that stage. Then when you get to high fidelity, that's when they will not talk about the copies and all of these things. So what are the advantages of prototyping? Prototyping would actually enable you as a user to get early feedback from people. After designing, people will give you feedback. They'll tell you how you can improve on what you've actually designed. It's also going to address design issues during the prototyping stage. And it's actually very less expensive because all you need is Figma or paper to be able to do all of this. Then prototyping would also help you to provide the visual representative of all the ideas you've been telling them. Sometimes when you tell people, I don't know if you've noticed that if you go for pitching sections and all of that, I also advise that you try to look at all of those things. UI UX is beyond Figma. It's more complex than Figma. Figma is like the list of our problem. Our problem starts from the research and all of that. There's a point you get to in all of this in all of these sections, and you would see that you've been giving them idea, and now they are asking you, do you have a prototype? Do you have anything that you can use to tell them? Then also design would help you to know how to iterate or how to improve on what you've gotten so far from users and all of that. So it's also very important that we take this prototyping phase as serious as we take the other phases. And then we have the the testing phase. That's the phase where you give it to users for them to test and ensure that everything is intact. You're solving their problem based on what they want. So guys, this is the end of my slide. This is where we get to interact with each other, and I'll get to hear all what you've taken, what you've gotten so far from today. Okay, so let's chat here.
Hello, good evening.
Hello, Michael.
Yeah, good evening. First of
Good
all, I want to
evening.
say thank you for a very insightful lecture. To be honest, I myself I actually learned a lot even at the intermediate level. I really enjoyed it. And if I want to speak about what I've learned today from you, it's the emphasis on research and trying to understand users before you actually delve into the actual product in terms of designing and putting out a UI, if I'm to put it like that, for that product. And I really enjoyed how you emphasized the need for research, and you didn't just emphasize it; you actually make it sound very enjoyable, like something that if you put your time into and you gather as much information about what your users might need, you get into into empathizing with your users of how great a product you possibly could make. So like that's what I learned. That's what I was able to draw out from today's lecture.
Thank you very much, Michael. Any other person?
Okay, good evening. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes, just thank you very much for a wonderful session. I learned a lot. So basically, I think what stood out for me in this meeting is the fact that it's not all about Figma actually. It's not about Figma. There is a lot of underground work that goes into product design in that sense that is actually much more than Figma, and these are the defining stage, the trying to get information, that's the research, trying to get information from the potential users of maybe a particular product, and from the wireframing process. Yeah, I think one thing that majorly stood out for me is how that you emphasize on um, putting effort on each of the design thinking process, from ideation to empathizing and defining, testing and all that. Yeah. And once again, thank you for such a wonderful session.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So I can see Juliet. She said she learned that research, problem statement is mostly after research. Yeah. So is there any question? Any question? Anything you want to ask? Contribution? Anyone? Okay. So let me assume that there is no
Yes.
question. Okay, there's a question, Isaac.
Okay. Sorry. Say you have ideas in your head, and then you are trying to bring out everything. Is it compulsory? Is it always compulsory to start with the first step?
Okay,
So
so Yeah, it's actually very compulsory to start with the research phase because we have plenty ideas. Like I emphasized it when we started the class that you're not building for yourself. You have ideas that you're thinking that would make it in the market. So that's almost startup founders they do. They just have plenty ideas and all of a sudden they are going straight to prototyping phase without even getting to know if people need that particular idea. So let me give an instance. So there's a particular I've read it, I've read about it somewhere that if you go to buy I think pizza or something in a particular country, they have this what's it called? This self-serving waitress that you can get the order and it's going to deliver it straight to your car outside and all of that. And then the person asks a question that if you bring that to Nigeria, you take that to Cold Stone in Nigeria, is it going to work? And the truth is, no, it's not going to work because that is actually, imagine for people that don't have cars, one, imagine people that are rushing because the whole concept of that is why you place your order or why you do all of these things, you go out and stay and it will come and locate you. So there are different, first, are we going to be able to afford that? Will people not break all of these things? So there are different things. If you carry that idea because it's in your head and it's working outside and you bring it down to this country, it might not work. Worst of it, or you take it to my community where people don't even know how to operate phone in River State, you've actually even ended it. Or say you want to build a solution. So I have a startup and one of the issues we've faced so far is that we are working with the people we are trying to work with in the industry are actually people that are elderly. So those people that are not Gen Z, you know that Gen Z is very, very easy for them to adopt a new solution. As Gen Z, you're saying, okay, we want to now bring a solution where people will not even go out to the market to buy food again and they have to stay in their house and order for food stuff. People would easily jump on it. You see Gen Z jumping on that particular idea. But then for the older people, for people around 60, 70, these are the key stakeholders in the business. It's not going to work. Now, if I did not conduct my research to find out that they would not easily adopt it, I would go straight to build something that at the end of the day they don't need. So in as much as you have so many ideas in your head, try to conduct research so that you don't fail when you get to the prototyping phase. When you get to the testing phase, sorry, the phase where you've already prototyped and you're moving it. Most people try to just they skip it, move it straight to development. They develop and they start doing marketing and they find out that users don't want the solution they are trying to offer. So yeah. Okay, so is there any other question?
Okay, I actually have a question. I actually have a question.
Okay.
It's about empathy. It's about empathy, like the empathy process. I feel like I don't know enough about the think, the do, the is it the say now? I've forgotten the fourth one. Like how do we squeeze those information out of our who would I say now, from our interviewees or people that we are interviewing? Like how do we get like how do we go about that empathy process legit? I don't really sometimes empathy I don't really understand it like that.
Okay, so one thing I've come to understand is for you to even get all of these things, I tell people that even your user persona, you can use your research data to get it, including empathy map. So that's why it's advisable that you don't just use a particular form of research to conduct what you want to conduct. Now, say for instance, you want to get an empathy map from somebody. First, if you're doing interviews is actually going to give you these dark data that you want. For instance, what are the four quadrants of empathy map? We have the say part where you get to say, okay, what are they saying? What are they trying? Their statements, their phrase. Now, if you're doing interviews, I mostly advise that it should be video interviews. If you have to do interviews, it should be video interviews. So you should get people's confirmation before time. So sometimes a week before, you can book it as you can even send a letter. So one of my tasks in business school was to get somebody, a big man, to interview, just to get the person's insight on all of these things. And I've not done it, but then when the instructor was trying to explain to us how to go about it, she said you can start by making useful connections. So one of these things is you have to connect with the person you're doing. See if it's your contact person you want to use. Try to build a form of relationship with this person before time, so that when you're sending in this request that you need this person, the person would not think twice, or the person will not delay to allow you. So if you're sending out the request, I like making it very we have the official way and the unofficial way. If you're doing an interview for somebody, it's advisable that you send, even if it's a message explaining what you want to do, and then telling the person that you're not using the person's data for any this thing. Because when it comes to empathy map, you might be using fake representation, even for user persona. In as much as you got your data from the research, you would have to use fake pictures and all of that, except the person gives you consent. So try to tell this person that this is what you want to do, this is what you want to achieve, and you want it to be a video call, so that this person, if this person agrees, then you go about it. Now, when you're doing the interview, there's something I've come to realize. Once you're doing all of those things, it's now depending on your own how you are able to observe your environment. So you see, when it comes to as a product designer, you also need to learn psychology. Like you need to be able to. My mother used to tell me then that the kind of person she is, if you blink your eyes, she will know exactly what you mean just blinking. Like she'll be able to read what you're doing. So you need that kind of spirit for you to be able to get all of these data at once. So what the person is saying, you just observe what is this person saying as you guys are talking. Then from thinking, you can use the person's facial expression to see how this person is thinking or how this person is feeling from the facial expression. So you're talking about a problem, say bank cut money, deducted your money and did not give you, and this person is getting this person is giving you some form of reaction. You just know the kind of feeling. Is the person is not surprised, the person is angry, maybe from something that happened before. The person is just angry at all of these things, and then you are noting down those kind of emotions from this person. You're noting down the person's belief. You're trying to, okay, this person's belief. From when somebody is saying something, they say out of the abundance of the heart, that's what the man will talk. So it's just like from what someone is thinking, that's when the person will spill out. So you get all of those ones. Then how the person is feeling. This one you get to also get it from their reaction, their facial expressions. How would they, if somebody is doing hand like this, is pointing fingers at you when you're doing interview, just know that this person is angry. The problem you are bringing to this person, or the part you are taking to this person, is this person you have seen the wahala. Yeah, let's say banks. I'm using bank because it's only money that will make people show their express their this. You are telling the person about how fintechs, how they've done things, fintech app, how they've got your money and all of that. This person is angry, pointing finger, and is saying, you see this bank, what I'll do to this bank, I'll go to their, all of those things, and you'll be able to get how this person is feeling. Then the next one is does. You get to note down this person's the person's behavior from even how the person is talking. So all of these things is for you to be able to yourself, when you're conducting interview, you don't even need to, you need to be in a space where you concentrate, because if you don't concentrate and you lose focus, you will not get to see the reactions. So there's also another thing I like telling people to do during this process: try to screen grab every reaction you see. If you're able to screen grab all of this thing or screen record it, you get to see when this person is angry. You just, once you're looking at this picture, you'll be seeing the different approaches and all of that, and how you can come about it. So that's it.
Thank you very much, Boma. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I got more insight. Thank you very much. It's clear now.
All right, you're welcome. So I have my mentor in this group, Believe. So I would like to give her the opportunity to see something. You'll be seeing the both of us, or you would always be seeing the both of us on Discord and even in class. So Believe, you can just
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Believe. So I'm your mentor for the intermediate UI UX. So I would love to say that I love to add to what Buma have said so far. That the research part of um, a design is very important. So there's no need to omit or jump into designing a particular frame or start designing something that you don't even have an idea of, okay? And also, you need to carry your users along in the process. She has said a whole lot and she has said all what I wanted to say, but you need to carry your user along. Remember that you're not building the application or you're not building anything for yourself. So you're building it for people out there to use it. Just like what she said about Kuda. Kuda is building an application that people are using, you are using, I am using the application. So they are just doing this for us, the users, to use them. So you need to really make sure that your user is carried along, and you need to do a very good research to get all those things before you dive into designing any application. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Believe, for that. If there's no other question, we've actually come to the end of today's class. Okay, there's a hand up. Okay, I want to hand over to our host. So
Okay, thank you very much, Buma. And to everyone, good evening. And I think you guys, it's been an interesting class so far. So I'm just gonna say a few things and then we shut down. First of all, I want to address the issue of names, right? When you come on Zoom, please make sure to use your name, right? Worst case scenario, you can actually just use your Discord name. We don't want to see weird stuff like Zoom user. And interestingly, if you are being told to, do something, you need to make sure you do it. I think about 2 or 3 times that individual was asked to, change his or her name. I don't know if it's a male or a female, right? For the person to, so of course I kicked the person out of the Zoom. And there are two things when you kick someone out of Zoom, there are two things that happens. If I decide to report to Zoom, you can't actually join back that link. Like you can't join that meeting again, even if you try. Right now, I don't want to have to do that to anyone. So when you join this meeting, do well to make sure that you have your full name or your first name, or worst case scenario, your Discord name, so that you can be addressed. It's very, very important, right? Okay, second thing is this. Not that I want to attack anybody, right? But I have a concern with the last question that was asked. Now, I am now worried. That question, I don't think I should be hearing such questions from someone who is in the intermediate UI UX, right? I do not think I should be hearing such questions, right? So I would want to know if you have actually done the intermediate task, right? The person that asked, right? So this means that question is actually going to make me go back to really, really check people who have really submitted, and then of course we probably have to check people's work again. I know why I'm saying it because, like I said, I don't want to assume, and I don't want to help you to sabotage your own self, right? So I'm beginning to see there's a bit of knowledge gap, and we'll try as much as possible to fix that. Like I said, if you're sent back to beginner, it's not a big deal, right? It's not something you should, sulk about. Just take it and go learn what you need to learn. There'll be KodeCamp 4.0, there'll be KodeCamp 5.0, right? As the Lord liveth, right? So there's still time for you to pick up more skills, right? But please do well to get the foundation, right? So I think that's basically what I'm going to be addressing. I know I said something at the beginning of the class, right? So there will be some changes in the Discord workspace, right? So those who actually scale through the intermediate test, right? You find yourself in the intermediate channel. The current channel, I'll just probably rename it to
I'll just find something. Maybe I'll call it pending intermediate or whatever, right? So if you see that the channel you are in is not intermediate, maybe it's something else apart from UI UX intermediate, it means that you probably didn't make it, or you have not submitted, right? I think I'll just put it at that. But those who have submitted, right, and made it, you see yourself in the actual intermediate UI UX intermediate channel. So take note of that. And if that's all, I don't know if there's any other thing.
Okay. No, there's none from my end. That's all.
Okay, so in the absence of none, okay, thank you very much, everyone, and do have a wonderful night.
Bye, everyone.